This is about your sister. Her secret will be revealed. Funny thing about secrets. They sit in the dark, waiting, like little bombs ticking under the floorboards. Everyone has them. Everyone hides them. But when they finally slip into the light, oh, that's when the game changes. You think you know someone because you share blood, because you share history, because you share a smile across the table. But secrets have a way of rewriting everything. And the closer the person, the deeper the cut. Because betrayal doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the ones you thought you knew best. Secrets are silent bombs waiting to explode. That's the beauty of them, isn't it? They don't make a sound while they're hidden. They just sit there, waiting, breathing beneath the surface. Everyone carries them, tucked neatly behind smiles, folded into laughter, stitched into everyday conversations. People think silence means safety, but silence is the most dangerous part of it all. Because the longer a secret sits in the dark, the heavier it grows, the more poisonous it becomes. And when it finally bursts, it doesn't whisper. It screams. It tears everything apart in seconds. Think about it. A lie told once is just a shadow. Small, easy to ignore. But when you hide it, when you feed it, when you guard it, it mutates into something bigger. A secret isn't just what you're hiding. It's the energy you spend protecting it. The glances you avoid, the words you don't say, the nights you stay awake making sure no one finds out. It consumes you while pretending to protect you. And the cruel joke is, it doesn't stay yours forever. Secrets are traitors. They want to escape. They itch, they crawl, they look for cracks to slip through. And people are terrible at keeping bombs buried. A slip of the tongue, a look in the wrong moment, a single careless word. It's all it takes. The secret escapes, and suddenly everything you built around it crumbles. One revelation, and trust evaporates. One confession, and all those years of pretending fall to dust. The explosion doesn't just destroy the liar. It scorches everyone standing close enough to believe them. The worst part, the ones you love the most are always closest to the blast. Strangers don't get hurt by your secrets. Family does. Friends do. The people who trusted you, who thought they knew you, who built their world around what you showed them. When a secret explodes, it doesn't just tear through your life, it rips through theirs. Because suddenly, the person they thought they knew never existed. They weren't loving you, they were loving a mask. And nothing cuts deeper than realizing the truth was hidden right in front of your eyes. A secret carries power, yes, but not the kind people dream of. It's not strength. It's a leash. It drags you through life. It controls how you speak, how you move, how you think. Every conversation becomes a battlefield where you dodge exposure. Every laugh feels hollow because you know it's built on a lie. And every day the fear grows. What if they find out? What if today is the day the bomb goes off? You don't control the secret. The secret controls you. And when it finally breaks loose, when the silence can't hold it anymore, it doesn't slip out gently. No, it tears its way into the light. It humiliates you, exposes you. leaves you naked in front of everyone who once believed. And you can feel it, can't you? The way their eyes change when they look at you. The warmth gone, the trust shattered, the blood between you suddenly poison. All because of a truth you tried to bury. That's why secrets are bombs. They don't just explode at random. They explode when you least expect it, when you're most comfortable, when you finally convince yourself you're safe. That's when they strike. And the blast doesn't just destroy the moment, it rewrites the past. Everything you said, everything you did, everything you shared now looks different in the new light. People start replaying every memory, every detail, searching for signs they missed. And in those moments, they realize the life they thought was real was nothing but smoke. You see, secrets always promise protection, but they never keep it. They promise safety, but they dig your grave. And when they're revealed, they don't just tell the truth. They remind everyone how long you've been lying. That's the explosion, the shockwave, the aftermath no one escapes. Secrets don't die in the dark. They only wait for the right moment to set everything on fire. Blood ties don't guarantee truth. People love to dress family up like it's a shield, like it's some golden bond that can't be broken, like it's stronger than steel. They tell themselves, family would never lie, family would never betray, family would never hurt me. But family isn't some holy contract. It's just people. And people lie. People hide. People bleed the same as strangers. The difference is, when blood lies, it cuts deeper. Because you thought blood was immune to deception. That's the lie everyone grows up swallowing, that family equals honesty. That siblings, parents, children, whatever the time may be, are incapable of shadows. But shadows don't care about bloodlines. They don't care about shared childhoods or dinners at the same table. In fact, family often makes the lies worse. Because family knows where to hide them. Family knows what you want to hear. Family knows the exact buttons to press to make you look away instead of digging deeper. And when you finally see it, when the mask slips, when the truth spills out, it doesn't just feel like a lie. It feels like your entire history has been rewritten. All those conversations, all those moments, all those looks, you start replaying them, realizing how much of it was staged, how much of it was built on silence. And the betrayal twists like a knife, because a stranger lying to you is expected, but a sister, a brother, a parent, that's supposed to be impossible, except it's not. The truth is, blood doesn't purify someone. It doesn't make them saints. It doesn't erase greed, fear, jealousy, or weakness. Sometimes it even makes those things worse. Because family lies aren't just about hiding sins. They're about protecting the image of the family itself. People will bury their own guilt deeper when they know exposure stains, not just themselves, but everyone connected to them. They'll keep secrets longer, guard them harder, all while smiling at you across the room like nothing's wrong. It's funny, isn't it? The very thing that's supposed to unite you is what blinds you. Blood creates trust without earning it. You believe them because they're yours, not because they deserve it. And that's the trap. That's why the lies hit harder. You let your guard down. You stop questioning. You think they'd never do that to me, but they can. They will. And when the moment comes, when the truth rips through the walls, you're left broken not just by the lie itself, but by the realization that you were a fool to think blood was a guarantee. And here's the darker part. Sometimes the lies feel necessary to them. They tell themselves, "I'm protecting you." They convince themselves that silence is mercy, that deception is kindness. They wrap their guilt in the excuse of love, as if hiding the truth could ever be love. But love doesn't erase betrayal. It delays it. It multiplies it. Because when the secret finally erupts, you don't just feel lied to, you feel patronized. Like they decided for you what truth you were strong enough to handle. Family is the perfect camouflage for secrets, and that's what makes it dangerous. People hide behind the word blood like it's armor, but it's really a mask. The kind of mask you don't see until it falls. And when it does, the face underneath isn't always what you thought it would be. That's the moment everything shatters. That's when you realize bloodlines don't guarantee truth. They only guarantee access. Access to your heart, your trust, your blind spots. And that's exactly where the knife goes in. You want to believe blood means loyalty. You want to believe it means honesty. But blood doesn't rewrite human nature. It doesn't erase flaws. It doesn't stop betrayal. In fact, it sharpens it. Because when family lies, the wound they leave isn't just betrayal. It's devastation. It's the collapse of the one place you thought was safe. And once that wall breaks, once you've seen the truth behind the blood, you can never look at it the same again. Betrayal cuts deepest when it comes from family. Strangers can hurt you, yes, but their knives don't sink nearly as far. You expect strangers to lie, to cheat, to twist the truth for their own gain. That's the game of the outside world, and you walk into it armored, prepared for betrayal from those who owe you nothing. But when it comes from blood, from someone you grew up with, someone who shared your home, your meals, your laughter, it doesn't just pierce the skin, it tears open the soul, because you never expected the blade to come from that direction. The irony of betrayal is that it requires trust first. A stranger can't betray you because you never gave them enough of yourself to hold in their hands. Betrayal is the price of intimacy. It's the cost of opening your chest and saying, "Here, this is me. This is everything I am. Hold it carefully." And family is where people do that the most. You don't think twice about trusting a sibling, a parent, someone who shares your blood. That's why their betrayal feels like suffocation. It isn't just the secret they kept. It's the faith you gave them that makes it unbearable. And when the truth breaks out, it doesn't just reveal what they did. It rewrites your entire relationship. Every memory becomes stained. Every moment you thought was pure suddenly feels poisoned. You replay the smiles, the conversations, the promises, and all you see now is the shadow of the lie behind them. You realize you weren't just betrayed in the present. You were betrayed in the past too. because those memories you cherished were never as real as you believed. The scar left by family betrayal is different. It lingers longer, it burns hotter, because it feels personal. A stranger might betray for money, for gain, for selfishness. But family betrayal carries an intimacy, a sense that they knew exactly what they were doing, that they understood the depth of your trust and still shattered it. That kind of betrayal isn't just about the act. It's about the message. You weren't worth the truth. And what's worse is how it isolates you. When betrayal comes from outside, you can retreat to family for comfort. You can return to the ones you trust to hold you steady. But when betrayal comes from within the family itself, where do you go? Where's the safe place then? Who do you lean on when the ones who should have been your foundation were the ones who struck the match? That isolation breaks something inside you, because it's not just about losing a person. It's about losing the idea of safety itself. Betrayal by family has another cruelty to it. It forces you to question everything about yourself. If blood can turn on you, then what does that mean about you? Were you blind? Were you weak? Were you naive to trust them so completely? You start interrogating your own judgment, punishing yourself for not seeing it sooner, for not sensing the blade hidden behind their smile. The betrayal doesn't just wound you, it infects you, making you doubt your own instincts. And the people who betray often don't even realize the depth of what they've done. To them, it might just be a secret, a choice, a small protection of their own pride or fear. But to the one betrayed, it's an earthquake. It shakes everything. It destroys the foundation. Because betrayal isn't measured by the one who commits it. It's measured by the one who trusted. And the closer the blood, the deeper the wound. That's the sick joke of family betrayal. It's not just about the lie, or the secret, or the act itself. It's about the collapse of something you thought unbreakable. It's about the death of certainty. It's about realizing the people you trusted most were capable of being the ones who hurt you most. And once that truth sets in, nothing ever feels safe again. A revealed secret changes everything you thought you knew. One moment, life feels solid, built on years of memories, words, and gestures you trusted. The next moment, a single truth comes out, and it all collapses like a house of cards. That's the thing about secrets. They don't just tell you something new. They change the meaning of everything old. Suddenly, the smiles, the promises, the casual conversations don't feel the same anymore. They feel staged. They feel tainted. Like you were living inside a play where everyone else knew their lines but you. It doesn't matter how small or how big the secret is. The effect is the same. Reality bends. You feel cheated, not just by the person who kept it, but by time itself. Because time suddenly feels like a liar. You thought you were building a story together, but the truth reveals you were reading a script that was never yours. Every moment you revisit in your mind becomes poisoned with doubt. Was that laugh real? Was that hug honest? Were those words genuine? Or were they just part of the cover-up? That's the cruelty of revelation. It doesn't give you answers. It gives you more questions. Questions that can't be undone. Questions that infect everything. And the more you dig, the more you realize the truth wasn't a sudden arrival. It was always there, hiding, shaping things in ways you never noticed. The secret didn't just appear out of nowhere. It was growing in silence, shaping choices, shaping interactions, shaping the very reality you thought was yours. And when it finally explodes into the open, you're left with a sick feeling. You never actually knew the person standing in front of you. You thought you did. You thought blood or love or trust guaranteed knowledge. But a secret proves you were only allowed to see what they wanted you to see. You weren't living with the person. You were living with their mask. And that realization doesn't just wound your trust in them, it wounds your trust in yourself. How could you have been so blind? How could you miss what was right in front of you? The revelation forces you to rewrite your past. Suddenly, moments that once brought comfort turn into evidence. Words you once cherished now sound hollow. Gestures you once found loving now feel manipulative. That's the most devastating part. It doesn't just destroy the present, it steals the past too. You can't look back without suspicion. You can't reminisce without bitterness. The memories are still there, but they're contaminated, and contaminated memories are worse than no memories at all. And yet, people will say, "At least now you know the truth." As if the truth is some gift, some healing medicine. But truth doesn't always heal. Sometimes it burns. Sometimes it crushes. Sometimes it turns your entire life into rubble. The truth doesn't promise comfort. It promises clarity, and clarity can be a curse. Because once you see things as they are, you can't go back to how they seemed. You can't unknow what you know. You can't unhear what's been revealed. The most dangerous part of revelation is how it warps your perception of everyone else. If someone so close could hide something so big, then what about everyone else? What are they hiding? What truths are buried behind their eyes, their voices, their actions? A single revealed secret can turn you paranoid, suspicious of every smile, every silence. It makes you question not just the betrayer, but the entire world around you. That's the raw power of a revealed secret. It doesn't just expose one truth. It shakes the foundation of your entire reality. It shows you how fragile trust really is, how easily it can be broken, how little you actually know about the people around you. And once that curtain is pulled back, life doesn't look the same anymore, because you realize the show was never yours to control. It was theirs. And they've been writing the script while you've been reading your lines. Blind to the ending they always knew was coming. Trust shatters faster than it's built. It takes years, sometimes a lifetime, to weave the fragile web of belief that someone is who they claim to be, that their words hold weight, that their presence means safety. But all it takes is one crack, one slip, one ugly truth to make that whole web collapse into nothing. It doesn't matter how many times they told you they'd never lie, never hide, never betray. Once the veil is torn, it can never be stitched back the same way. You can try to repair it, but the whole always shows. The fabric never feels whole again. That's the thing about trust. It's invisible while it's alive. You don't see it. You just live inside it. It's the silent foundation beneath every conversation, every glance, every touch. You don't stop to question it, because questioning ruins the comfort. But the moment it breaks, you see what it really was, an illusion you willingly believed in. And that realization hits harder than the secret itself. Because it's not just about what was hidden, it's about the part of you that wanted to believe so badly. The part that ignored the small warnings, the subtle signs, the faint whispers in the dark. When trust shatters, it doesn't fall in silence. It explodes. It sends shards into every part of your life, piercing not just your relationship with the person who betrayed you, but with yourself. You start doubting your own judgment. You replay every word they ever said, every choice they ever made, searching for the moment you missed, the instant when the mask slipped and you didn't notice. And the worst part is, you realize it wasn't just them keeping the lie alive. You were helping them. Every time you looked away, every time you accepted half answers, every time you convinced yourself it was nothing, you were part of the performance. That's why it stings so deeply. Because betrayal doesn't just expose their deceit, it exposes your own blindness. And once trust is broken, every future word, every future promise feels hollow. Even if they swear it will never happen again, even if they beg and plead, there's a whisper in your mind that never shuts up. But what if it does? That whisper becomes your constant companion, and it ruins the ease you once felt. Even if you choose to stay, even if you choose to forgive, the ease is gone. The innocence is gone. You're no longer living with them. You're living with doubt, and doubt has a way of poisoning everything it touches. The cruel irony is that trust builds slowly, brick by brick, while betrayal demolishes it in one swing of the hammer. Years of love, loyalty, and shared history can be erased by a single act. That imbalance is what makes it so devastating. You think time matters. You think the weight of years protects you. But betrayal proves how fragile it all really is. Time doesn't protect trust. Truth does. And once the truth comes out, time is nothing but a reminder of how long you were fooled. And here's the darkest part sometimes, when trust shatters. It doesn't only change how you see the other person. It changes how you see everyone. If they could do it, why not the next one? If they could smile while hiding a knife, why not anyone else? That paranoia grows inside you, twisting your view of the world. You begin to see lies in every word, deceit in every silence, betrayal hiding in every shadow. And maybe you're right. Maybe you're not. But it doesn't matter anymore, because once your trust has been broken, you no longer live in a world of people. You live in a world of masks. And no matter how much you try to rebuild, you can't forget the moment it all came crashing down. Because trust isn't glass. It doesn't just crack where it broke. Once it shatters, the pieces scatter everywhere, and you'll keep finding them in your hands, in your mind, cutting you long after the moment has passed. It's a wound that never really heals. It just hides under the surface, waiting to bleed again at the slightest touch. Something big from God. People hear that, and they expect light, miracles, a golden road laid out in front of them. But what if I told you it doesn't come wrapped in beauty, it comes wrapped in struggle? What if the gift isn't comfort, but chaos? What if the blessing is disguised as loss, as pain, as a storm meant to tear down everything soft inside you? People think God hands out crowns, but what he really gives are crosses. Weights so heavy they either crush you or force you to grow strong enough to carry them. And that's the thing about something big from God. It never looks like a gift when it first arrives. Something big from God. People imagine it as a shining light, a doorway opening, an easy path laid out with certainty. They think it feels warm, gentle, and welcoming. But no, it rarely comes like that. When something big is sent your way, it often crawls in with sharp edges, with weight that presses on your chest until you can't breathe, with a silence that feels louder than any noise you've ever heard. It doesn't whisper sweet promises. It drags you into confusion, into pain, into a place where you question everything you thought you knew. That's the trick. That's how it hides. Because if it came dressed as a gift, you'd take it lightly. But when it comes as a storm, it demands something deeper from you. Struggle is the wrapping paper, the disguise. It looks like failure, like loss, like rejection. It looks like doors slamming in your face, people walking away. Nights where you beg for relief but nothing comes. It looks like everything falling apart, but in reality, it's everything falling into place. Because you don't become ready through ease. You become ready through the kind of pain that cracks you open. The gift doesn't reveal itself until you've been broken enough to see it. People call it unfair. They call it cruel. But it's not. It's precise. It's intentional. The weight is chosen to fit you, to carve you into someone who can handle what's coming. When something big from God enters your life, it doesn't knock politely. It breaks down the door. It doesn't ask if you're comfortable. It makes you uncomfortable enough to move, to grow, to shed the skin you've been hiding in. Struggle isn't a mistake. It's the signal. It's the packaging that tells you what's inside is valuable. Diamonds don't come from gentle soil. They come from crushing pressure. Steel doesn't become strong by staying cool. It has to pass through fire. And you, too, are no different. People miss it because they're looking for comfort. They want the blessing to feel like a blessing from the start. But that's not how it works. Something big can't be handed to someone untested. Otherwise, it slips right through their fingers. So instead, it arrives as chaos, as a weight that forces you to transform. It's not here to make you smile. It's here to make you strong. And only once you've endured the disguise, once you've survived the storm, do you realize what was really given to you. The beauty of struggle is that it strips away illusions. It removes the fake friends, the shallow dreams, the distractions you thought were important. When you're left standing alone with nothing but pain, That's when you discover who you are and what you're made for. That's when the gift begins to take shape. You start seeing that the loss was direction, the rejection was protection, the pain was preparation. None of it was random. Every cut, every scar, every tear was shaping you into the person capable of holding on to what's coming. The world doesn't see it that way. The world tells you blessings should feel good, that something big from above should arrive with applause, with signs, with joy. But the truth is quieter, darker, more raw. It's not about how it looks, it's about how it molds you. And molding always hurts. Clay doesn't complain when the potter presses it down, stretches it, reshapes it. Steel doesn't complain when the hammer falls again and again. But you, when the struggle comes, you cry out, thinking you're being punished, when in reality you're being prepared. The disguise is part of the gift. If it came easy, everyone would claim it. If it came soft, you'd never grow strong enough to hold it. But because it comes wrapped in struggle, only those who endure, only those who refuse to quit, only those who see beyond the pain will ever truly unwrap it. And that's why something big from God doesn't arrive like a treasure. It arrives like a test. Only those who push through will see that the struggle itself was never punishment. It was the proof. It was the sign. It was the gift. Blessings often come wrapped in pain. Strange, isn't it? People expect them to shine, to sparkle, to arrive with smiles and applause. They expect blessings to be obvious, to feel soft, to comfort the soul. But the reality, most of the time, blessings feel like the exact opposite. They feel like heartbreak, like betrayal, like nights spent awake questioning whether you've been forgotten. They don't look like gifts. They look like curses. And that's why so many people miss them. Because they throw the package away before opening it. Pain is the language no one wants to learn. But it's the only one that speaks the truth. When a blessing enters your life, it doesn't come to soothe you. It comes to sharpen you. Pain is the wrapping paper, the mask. It hides the treasure until you're willing to dig deeper, until you're desperate enough to look past the hurt. Because only through pain do you stop clinging to illusions. Only through pain do you discover strength you didn't know existed. Without it, you'd stay soft, fragile, unprepared for what's waiting. Think about it. When do you grow the most? Not when everything is easy. Not when life is comfortable. Growth comes when you're stretched to your breaking point. When you're forced to confront the parts of yourself you've been running from. That's the blessing. It's not the pain itself, but what the pain builds inside you. It creates resilience. It teaches patience. It carves humility. It strips away arrogance. It molds you into someone who can actually carry the weight of what you once prayed for. Without that process, the blessing would crush you instead of lifting you. Most people can't see that. They receive the pain and call it punishment. They curse the heavens. They complain about unfairness. They convince themselves they've been abandoned. They don't realize they're standing at the doorstep of something bigger. But because it doesn't look like a gift, they never open the door. They let bitterness steal what was meant for them. And so, the blessing passes them by, still wrapped, still hidden, never revealed. Pain forces clarity. It exposes who's truly with you and who only came for convenience. It tears apart your illusions about the world, about love, about yourself. It leaves you raw, bare, uncomfortable. And in that rawness, you're finally ready. Because the truth is, you can't receive something big if your hands are still full of lies. Pain empties them. It makes room. It creates the space where the blessing can actually land. It's almost poetic, really. People pray for strength, and they're given battles. They pray for wisdom, and they're given mistakes. They pray for love, and they're given heartbreak. At first, it feels cruel, almost twisted. But look deeper. Strength doesn't come from ease. Wisdom doesn't come from success. Love doesn't become real until you've felt its absence. The pain is not the opposite of the blessing. It's the very path to it. Blessings wrapped in pain are the ones that last. They're the ones you fight for, bleed for, cry for. And because you've endured for them, you value them more deeply. You don't take them for granted. You don't treat them lightly. They become a part of you, stitched into your skin, written into your scars. You carry them differently than the ones handed to you without struggle. Because these blessings, the ones that come wrapped in pain, they shape you while they reward you. So when the storm comes, when everything feels like it's falling apart, maybe it isn't. Maybe it's falling together. Maybe the pain is the paper covering the gift, daring you to tear it open. Most people never do. They stop at the hurt, never realizing the treasure is hidden inside it. But the chosen, the ones willing to bleed for something bigger, they unwrap it, and they see that the pain wasn't punishment. It was proof. Proof that something worth carrying had finally arrived. Growth is hidden inside loss and chaos. People imagine growth as a smooth climb, a steady rise toward success, with applause waiting at the top. But growth rarely looks like that. More often, it feels like your world being torn apart, your plans collapsing, everything you thought was solid slipping through your fingers. It feels like betrayal, like endings, like silence where answers should be. Chaos doesn't ask for permission. It storms in, rips apart the comfortable life you built, and forces you to face the truth. You don't grow in peace. You grow in the ruins. Loss is the cruel teacher nobody asks for, but everyone meets. It strips away your attachments. It burns down your illusions. It takes from you the things you swore you couldn't live without. And in that emptiness, something happens. You learn. You learn that your worth was never in what you lost. You learn that survival is possible, even when the world says it isn't. You learn that everything external is temporary, and the only thing you truly own is the strength you build in the wreckage. Loss isn't just an ending, it's a reshaping. It cuts you open so growth has room to enter. Chaos works the same way. People fear it because it feels uncontrollable, unpredictable, merciless. But chaos is honest. It doesn't lie to you. It doesn't let you pretend. It exposes the fragility of your routines, your systems, your beliefs. It throws you into situations where nothing makes sense, where the rules you trusted no longer apply. And in that confusion, you adapt. You find new ways to think, new ways to fight, new ways to stand. Chaos is a forge, and you are the steel being hammered. Every strike hurts, but every strike shapes you. The problem is, most people run from loss and chaos. They numb themselves. They hide in distractions. They pray for it to end without ever asking what it came to teach. They see it as destruction, not transformation. But those who endure, those who stare into the flames instead of running, they discover the truth. Growth was never hidden in comfort. It was always hiding in the places you least wanted to look. The places where you were stripped bare, forced to rebuild, forced to rise. Think about the times you changed the most. Was it when everything was easy, predictable, safe? Or was it when everything fell apart? It's always the breaking that builds you. It's always the chaos that awakens you. Because when you lose, you also learn what you can live without. When chaos hits, you learn how strong you really are. The pain clears away what was weak, what was false, what was never meant to last. And though it feels unbearable in the moment, it plants seeds of resilience that you'll carry forever. Loss and chaos don't come to destroy you. They come to strip you down to what's real. They remove the masks, the lies, the comforts you thought you needed. They take you to the edge, to the place where you question whether you can go on. And then, if you don't quit, if you don't collapse, you rise. Stronger, sharper, hungrier. The growth you prayed for is hidden inside the very thing you feared. It's a cruel trick, isn't it? You beg for strength, and you're given loss. You beg for clarity, and you're given chaos. You beg for growth, and you're handed pain. But that's the design. That's the hidden pattern. Because real growth can't be handed to you. It has to be earned. It has to be pulled out of you in fire and in loss. That's why the blessings that come through chaos feel different. They're not just things you receive. They're things you become. And maybe that's the point. Growth isn't about gaining. It's about becoming. And you don't become in safety. You become in the dark, in the broken, in the storm. You become in the moments where you think it's over, only to find out you're still standing. You become in the loss that clears the path, in the chaos that forces you forward. Growth was never hiding in peace. It was always hiding in the wreckage. Strength is forged through heavy burdens, not through easy days, not through applause, not through comfort. Strength doesn't grow when life is soft and predictable. It grows when something heavy is dropped on your shoulders and you don't have the luxury of letting it crush you. It grows when you wake up with the weight of the world pressing against your chest, and you still find a way to stand. People want strength as a gift, but it never comes wrapped like that. It comes disguised as responsibility, as pain, as challenges that demand more than you think you have. The burden is the blacksmith's hammer. Every blow shapes you. Every ounce of weight makes you harder, sharper, more unbreakable. Carrying something you never asked for, something you think is unfair. That's where strength lies. The heavy doesn't disappear. You just grow strong enough to lift it. And in the process, your body, your mind, your spirit change. You stop being who you were. You become something new, something unrecognizable to those who once knew you. Not because life handed you gifts, but because life threw stones, and you learned to build walls with them. Most people run from the heavy. They beg for it to be lifted. They curse the sky, wondering why the burden landed on them and not someone else. They don't realize that being chosen for a weight is proof of potential. No one puts a crown on weak shoulders. No one hands fire to those too afraid to burn. If the burden found you, it's because you're meant to be stronger than the rest. But strength doesn't come instantly. It comes slowly, painfully, through the endless repetition of carrying what you thought you couldn't carry. The thing about heavy burdens is they break the illusions. They force you to face the truth of who you are. You can't fake strength under weight. You either collapse or you rise. And every time you rise, even if your knees shake, even if your bones scream, you build something inside yourself that can't be stolen. That's why strength forged through burden is different from strength borrowed from comfort. Comfort gives you nothing lasting. Burden gives you scars. And those scars are proof you survived what should have destroyed you. Look at the strongest people you've ever seen. Their strength wasn't born from ease. It was carved out of suffering, responsibility, sacrifice. It came from holding the kind of pain that would have crushed others. It came from carrying the kind of silence that would have broken weaker minds. Their strength wasn't a choice. It was survival. And in surviving, they became more than they were. The heavy burden wasn't punishment. It was transformation. Every weight you carry, every challenge that feels impossible, every responsibility that feels unfair, it's all the same process. The more you carry, the more you grow. The heavier the burden, the sharper the edge it forges inside you. Pain becomes fuel. Struggle becomes fire. Pressure becomes the forge. You hate it while you're in it, but when you look back, you realize the burden gave you the very thing you prayed for. Strength, resilience, endurance. Things no one can hand you. Things no one can fake. It's not fair. It's not gentle. But it's real. You don't get strength from sitting still. You don't get strength from wishing. You get strength from lifting what was meant to break you and realizing it didn't. You get strength from carrying the unbearable until it becomes normal. And then one day, you look around and realize what crushes others is nothing to you anymore. The burden is still heavy, but you have become heavier. That's the secret. The burden never really changes. You do. True gifts don't feel like gifts at first. They sneak into your life dressed as problems, as chaos, as pain that twists your stomach and keeps you awake at night. People imagine a gift from above as something that makes them smile, something that brings ease, something that feels good from the beginning. But the reality is far darker. The gifts that matter most, the ones that shape your life forever, they don't arrive in pretty wrapping. They arrive in a form that makes you question whether you've been cursed. Think about it. How many times have you looked back at something that once broke you and realized it gave you exactly what you needed? A heartbreak that ripped you apart, but taught you who you were. A failure that embarrassed you, but forced you to sharpen your craft. A loss that shattered your heart, but stripped away the lies you were living in. At the time, it didn't feel like a gift. It felt like punishment. But years later, you realize it was the very thing that turned you into who you are now. That's the cruel trick of real gifts. They don't give comfort immediately. They demand growth. And growth hurts. It stretches you, burns you, leaves scars on your soul. A true gift is something that forces you to evolve, to shed your old skin, to bury the version of yourself that wasn't strong enough to carry what's coming. It feels like death at first because in a way it is. It kills the weaker parts of you, but in doing so, it awakens something greater. People waste their lives chasing easy gifts, the ones that sparkle for a moment and then fade. Money that slips through their fingers. Praise that turns silent when they fail. Comfort that rots them from the inside out. They cling to these things because they feel good instantly, but they're not real. They're illusions. A true gift doesn't fade. A true gift builds you. It burns itself into your bones so deeply that nothing can take it away. And that's why, when it first arrives, it feels unbearable. It shakes your world. It pulls people out of your life. It strips away everything you thought you needed. You cry out for relief, not realizing the very thing you're fighting against is the thing you asked for. You wanted strength, but you didn't know it would come wrapped in suffering. You wanted purpose, but you didn't know it would come wrapped in loss. You wanted clarity, but you didn't know it would come wrapped in chaos. The gift never looks like the prayer you spoke. It looks like the answer you weren't ready to see. What makes it real is the transformation it forces. A fake gift keeps you the same. A true gift changes you, whether you like it or not. It strips away who you were and demands you become someone new. And when the dust settles, when you finally see what it gave you, you realize it was worth the pain. The suffering wasn't a distraction. It was the wrapping paper. Ugly, jagged, painful to tear apart, but inside was something priceless. That's why only a few ever unwrap the real gifts. Most throw them away because they can't get past the pain. They curse the sky, convinced they've been abandoned, when in truth, they've been chosen. The gift was there all along, hidden in the suffering they refuse to endure. And so, they miss it. They settle for the fake gifts, the shallow ones, the ones that feel good for a moment but vanish when life gets hard. True gifts never vanish. They scar you. They shape you. They strengthen you. And the reason they don't feel like gifts at first is because they're not here to please you. They're here to prepare you. They come disguised, wrapped in fire, hidden in the kind of pain most people run from. But if you're willing to bleed, if you're willing to endure, if you're willing to keep going when it feels like everything is falling apart, you'll find them. And when you do, you'll realize the curse you hated was the gift you needed all along.